2017. At the 89th Academy Awards, Damien Chazelle's La La Land wins 7 Oscars, including Best Picture. Chazelle becomes the youngest filmmaker in history to ever win the Academy Award for Best Director. But all that triumph is overshadowed by a single moment.
There's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture. This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture. Moonlight, Best Picture.
He doesn't show it. But inside, the emotions he's feeling can't be put into words. And no, it's not about the Oscar mix-up. He already had his main prize in his hands.
Damien Chazelle, La La Land.
It's about the journey that brought him back to that stage. La La Land wasn't Chazelle's first film to impress the Academy. Just 3 years earlier, he had already changed Hollywood forever with his first real feature debut.
All right, gang, Whiplash. Little trouble there. Let's pick it up at 17. Ready? 5, 6, and...
Today it might seem hard to believe, but back then, no one believed in the ideas of the young director. Even La La Land, which Damien came up with back in college together with his friend Justin Hurwitz, was predicted to fail from the start. But how did Whiplash, a small, brutal film about obsession, end up saving Damien Chazelle's career and giving him a chance to make the musical of his dreams? How did a 28-year-old filmmaker shoot a movie in just 20 days that would go on to win 3 Oscars and be remembered as one of the best films of the 21st century? And why is Whiplash the masterpiece we almost never got to see?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Look closely at Chazelle's filmography. All his movies explore that thin line between dream and self-destruction. They show how art can lift a person up and also break them. And to express that, Chazelle always relies on 2 main tools: music and rhythm. You can see this clearly in his first 3 films, including his student short. All of them revolve entirely around music. But why music? That connection goes back to his childhood. And once you learn that, it becomes clear just how personal Whiplash really is. In high school, Damien took regular music classes and played drums in the school jazz band. Even though he had wanted to be a filmmaker since childhood, he had to put that dream on hold for music, because of one very important reason: the City Jazz Orchestra.
It was the sort of orchestra in my town that everyone wanted to be in, you know, and so when the doors open, you feel like it's like the party you've always wanted to be invited to.
That orchestra was the pride of the town, one of the best in the country. Anyone who was even slightly into music dreamed of getting in. Chazelle became obsessed with the idea of joining, not just as a musician, but as one of the best. But soon he realized he might not make it. When he finally joined the orchestra, he came face to face with a brutal teacher who acted more like a drill sergeant than an instructor. He'd yell, humiliate his students for any mistake, and create an atmosphere of fear.
Sight read measure 101. What are you, in a fucking a cappella group? Play the goddamn kit!
Later, Chazelle admitted that before every rehearsal he'd feel almost paralyzing anxiety. Not because he was afraid of failing, but because he was terrified of how his teacher would react. Eventually, Damien realized he didn't have that natural talent, and being the best just wasn't in the cards. So he turned back to his original dream, filmmaking, and enrolled at Harvard. There, he spent all his time writing scripts and shooting short films for the film department. By the end of his studies, he presented his thesis film, Guy and Madeline on a Park Bench. It's a story about a jazz musician and his girlfriend, their brief romance, and their attempts to find their place in life after parting ways. Sounds familiar, right? The film premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2009, received great reviews from critics, and put Chazelle on the radar of the indie film scene. In 2010, Damien packed his bags and moved to Los Angeles, ready to start his directing career for real. It looked like the dream was coming true, but his career went nowhere.
When I started writing scripts, I tried to turn it into something I could be proud of as a writer. But my initial motivation was very simple. What's trending right now? I have to write something because I need to pay the rent.
His debut was too experimental and too indie for a theatrical release. Still, He came to LA with one goal: to bring his dream project to life. A musical called La La Land. The script and concept had been created back in college together with Justin Hurwitz. Damien wrote the story, Justin wrote the music. But at the time, it was way too ambitious for a student project. Now, being in Hollywood and with at least some recognition, it seemed like nothing could stop him. Or so he thought. Every studio he sent the script to rejected it. They told him to come back later, and with something simpler.
Oh, you know what? I think we're good. Thanks for coming in.
The reasons were obvious. First, Chazelle was only 25. He had no experience directing big projects, no fame, and no powerful connections. Second, musicals were considered risky and unpredictable.
Musicals are difficult to get financed, but an original musical was kind of impossible to get financed.
They often flopped unless based on an existing brand or built around hit songs. La La Land was too original, too personal. In the eyes of studios, it was doomed to fail. After countless rejections, Damien had to face reality. No one wanted his ideas. His career seemed stuck, and his dream was slipping away.
First step through the door was getting work as a writer for hire, but really, if it was really schlocky, that was my...
For hire, did anything get produced?
Yeah.
Don't want to talk about it.
But instead of giving up, he started working on a new script, a smaller, more grounded project. That project would turn out to be the biggest test of his life. It was 2012. Chazelle's career was going nowhere. There was no hope of funding La La Land. He was angry at Hollywood, at the system, at the world. So he locked himself in his apartment and decided to pour all that frustration onto the page. But what story could he tell? Producers wanted something simple. He wanted something honest. Then he remembered the one time in his life he felt truly trapped, in that high school jazz orchestra. All his fears and anxieties came flooding back. He started writing about them. And at the core of it all, his childhood dream of becoming a great musician, which had always been more like an obsession. The first draft of Whiplash, then titled The Drummer, took him just 10 days to write. Later, he renamed it Whiplash. But the story was so personal that at first he was too embarrassed to show it to anyone. He kept revising it for almost a year. When he finally gave it to his agent, she immediately told him, "You need to make this film, now." Chazelle started sending the script to studios, and again, the rejections poured in. Every time he tried to explain what the film was about, he'd say, "It's a story about a jazz drummer." And that was enough to scare investors away. Even when Blumhouse Productions joined the project, nothing changed. Nobody wanted to take the risk. To convince studios, producers came up with a clever idea. They asked Damien to take one key scene from the script and shoot it as a short film to show what the movie could be. Reluctantly, he agreed. He chose the scene that perfectly captured the spirit of Whiplash, Andrew's first rehearsal under Fletcher's brutal direction. But for this short film to work, they needed an unforgettable performance. That's how the script landed in the hands of J.K. Simmons.
It's one of the most genius pieces of writing. It was one of those things that I read and just, I don't know if I was literally shaking, and I knew that I was the right guy.
At the time, Simmons was a recognizable face, a veteran character actor, but rarely the star. He didn't care about money or fame. He wanted a role with depth. Fletcher was exactly that. Complex, terrifying, and fascinating.
Why the fuck didn't you say so?
Still, there were doubts. Could a 27-year-old rookie director pull off such a psychologically intense story? And could they do it in just 3 days with a tiny budget and one location? Against all odds, they did. The short film premiered at the 2013 Sundance Film Festival and won the top prize in its category.
Grand Jury Prize for U.S. Dramatic Competition goes to a film of uncommon skill that showcases two compelling characters and pulses to a dazzling and irresistible beat. The winner is Whiplash. directed by Damien Chazelle.
That success changed everything. Suddenly, studios were calling back. Chazelle got a small budget, about $3 million, to make the feature version. But this was just the beginning of a new challenge. He had to assemble a full team and find actors who could deliver both emotionally and musically. For Andrew, Damien immediately thought of Miles Teller. Miles had actually played drums in high school, but jazz drumming was another level entirely. Under Chazelle's direction, Teller practiced 6 hours a day for 6 weeks, often until his hands bled, to prepare for the role.
Jazz drumming is its own animal. That was the thing, the fundamental thing of holding a stick is different. It's a different thing, and I felt very, bad at it.
And as for J.K. Simmons, he turned out to have a secret weapon. Before acting, he'd studied music and even earned a degree in it.
One of the first things he says is, I want to take the onus off of you. We'll have a technical advisor, we'll have a body double who can do the conducting and the long shots. And I looked at him, I'm sure, a little bit oddly, and I said, dude, I went to music school. I have a degree in music. I thought I was going to be a composer and conductor.
So when he stepped on set, he knew exactly how to conduct an orchestra. He was incredibly lucky to get a powerful acting duo with real musical experience. That meant no need for stunt doubles and real authenticity on screen. For example, almost every drumming scene in Whiplash was performed by Miles Teller himself. In fact, about 40% of the sound you hear in the movie is his actual playing. Usually in films like this, the music is recorded long before shooting and simply added later in post. But if the hardest part were just finding the right actors, that would have been too easy. The real challenge wasn't the small budget, Chazelle's lack of experience, or even the concept of the film. The biggest problem was the deadline. The studio executives were already taking a huge risk funding a project that every other Hollywood studio had turned down. There was barely any money left for marketing, which meant the only chance to make the investment worthwhile was through a big festival success. They demanded that Whiplash be completely finished in time for the upcoming Sundance Festival, while the audience still remembered the short film that had won the year before. For months, Damien Chazelle worked tirelessly, sketching storyboards, perfecting every scene, and rehearsing endlessly with his actors. But when the studio finally scheduled the shoot, it turned out all that preparation left only 20 days for actual filming. To put that in perspective, in the last 40 years, only one Oscar-winning film had been shot in less time. And Whiplash went on to win 3. But Chazelle wasn't the only one giving it everything. Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons also pushed themselves to the limit to make the film what it became. Simmons always insisted on doing as many takes as possible to reach perfection, while Teller listened to his every note and poured everything into his performance. There are scenes where Andrew's hands bleed from drumming. And that's not makeup. The blood and sweat are real, the result of hours of shooting and countless takes that literally destroyed the actor's hands on set. The same level of intensity can be seen in the now famous slapping scene. Every single hit was real, making the moment feel even more raw and powerful on screen. Though Teller did get his revenge later. In one scene, Andrew lunges at Fletcher and knocks him to the floor, and during filming, Teller jumped so hard that he actually broke one of Simmons's ribs. The shoot still had several days left, so the entire crew panicked.
Did you break something? I want to say you broke a rib, but I know that didn't happen. You strained something.
I didn't break a rib. Miles Teller broke my rib.
Oh, right.
Luckily, the fracture was minor, and Simmons returned to set the very next day. As you can imagine, Whiplash was filmed under insane pressure. The crew worked to exhaustion, often from sunrise to late at night, 14-hour days, 20 days straight, with zero room for mistakes. But the 3 Oscars and universal acclaim that Whiplash received weren't because of how quickly it was made. Its true brilliance lies in how Chazelle turned a simple story into a psychological thriller about people who will do anything for greatness. The film follows a young, talented drummer named Andrew Neiman, who enters an elite music academy with one single goal: to become one of the greats.
Broke and drunk and full of heroin at the age of 34 is not exactly my idea of success.
I'd rather die drunk, broke at 34 and have people at a dinner table talk about me than live to be rich and sober at 90 and nobody remember who I was.
To do that, he needs a spot in one of the country's top orchestras, led by the ruthless instructor Terrence Fletcher.
Not quite my tempo.
who has his own mission: to find and shape the next legendary musician, no matter the cost. From the very start, we understand that both main characters are utterly obsessed with their dreams and will cross any line to achieve them.
Am I wrong? Yeah, no, I'm in studio band because I'm the
Hey,
best
why don't
player.
you just back
Hey,
off,
fuck off, Johnny Utah. Turn my pages, bitch.
Hey,
Fletcher is willing to go beyond all boundaries of morality and ethics.
Why do you suppose I just hurled a chair at your head, Neiman?
While Andrew is ready to practice day and night to reach perfection. It sounds straightforward, but why is Whiplash considered one of the most intense and gripping films of the 21st century? The secret lies in the tools Chazelle uses to build his characters and convey their emotions. The most important of these is editing. It sets the rhythm of the entire film. You can see this clearly in the first rehearsal scene. The moment Fletcher walks into the room, the relaxed atmosphere vanishes, replaced by suffocating silence. And as soon as he gives the first command, the cuts start coming faster, reflecting the growing tension and fear of what's about to happen.
All right, gang, Whiplash.
Perhaps the most obvious storytelling tool, though, is color. The entire film is built around two dominant shades, yellow and green. And that's not accidental. There are several theories about what these colors represent. The most popular one interprets them as emotional cues, moods and tones for each scene. But in truth, Chazelle chose these colors to focus the viewer's attention on what really matters in each frame, and to give the film a distinct, thriller-like atmosphere. This becomes especially clear when comparing the short film to the feature version. In the short, the room is bright and comfortable, and Fletcher doesn't feel all that intimidating. Now look at the same scene in the final movie. The classroom has become a dark, claustrophobic space, almost completely sealed off from the outside world. Chazelle gives Fletcher an almost godlike authority.
He's lying around again. I swear to fucking God. I will stop being so polite. Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you.
He storms into rooms like he owns them, breaks down musicians within minutes, and commands their obedience as if he's leading soldiers, not students. The parallels with Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket are hard to miss. Fletcher and Sergeant Hartman share a lot in common.
Get here!
Sir, I took it from the mess hall, sir!
There's chow allowed in the barracks, Private Pie.
Both are terrifying mentors who demand absolute perfection through cruelty.
Try me, you fucking weasel!
And throughout the film, Chazelle constantly forces us to shift our perception of Fletcher. At first, he seems like a strict but respected teacher who knows his craft. Then he becomes a sadistic tyrant tormenting his students. Later, there's a brief, quiet moment where he comforts Andrew, and we almost start to sympathize with him. But as soon as rehearsals begin again, Fletcher unleashes his full brutality, humiliating Andrew in front of everyone. And that's just the first 30 minutes. Every encounter between them becomes a duel. At first, Fletcher dominates completely, then Andrew starts to fight back. But the real question remains: who wins in the end? Many see the finale as Andrew's personal victory. He walks on stage, overcomes Fletcher's sabotage, and delivers an extraordinary solo. It feels like liberation. The student has proven he's destined for greatness. Chazelle's real message is far darker. By the end, Andrew isn't a human being with dreams and emotions anymore. He's a machine, molded and broken by his mentor's obsession. A perfectly tuned instrument in the hands of a madman. This idea is underscored by the scene with Andrew's father. At first glance, he seems simply shocked by his son's performance. But if you look closely, his expression isn't awe, it's sorrow. He realizes he's lost his son completely. And this isn't speculation, it's confirmed in the original script. That's why Whiplash is often compared to Black Swan. Both films explore how the pursuit of perfection can destroy a person from within. Both protagonists lose their sanity and their humanity, pushed by manipulative mentors, Fletcher for Andrew, and the mother, or Rothbart, for Nina. But while Black Swan ends with a visible tragedy, Whiplash leaves the downfall off-screen, which, in my opinion, makes its ending even more powerful. And it won 3 Oscars, for editing, sound, and J.K. Simmons' unforgettable performance. A film that no one believed in suddenly opened every Hollywood door for Damien Chazelle, giving him the chance to make La La Land. And just 3 years later, that very film would bring him 6 Academy Awards, including Best Director, making him the youngest winner in history. Despite countless rejections and self-doubt, Damien Chazelle went from an unknown filmmaker with unmarketable ideas to one of the biggest revelations of the decade. And it wasn't just because of Whiplash's fast production or its sharp visual style, but because it proved how even a simple story can become an electrifying piece of cinema, capable of moving any viewer. But that's only possible when behind the camera stands a director truly and utterly obsessed with his dream.